Hey Life Groups, we're back with some more content for you guys to unpack and chat about together. Before I jump into this week's conversation, I wanted us to actually take a moment, looking ahead into the series coming up. Our relationship series is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And I know like we said as if all the others are not, or like we oversell just so you guys could bring people, but I really genuinely believe that there's going to be so much freedom that we're all going to experience this next series. So much life, so much peace and joy. It's going to be so fulfilling for any level of relationship that you might have with anyone, especially in tandem with the Boundaries course. But I'd like for us to take a moment as a life group together to just pause, ask the Holy Spirit to place someone or to show us a picture of a person or to reveal to us someone that we can invite through to the journey of unpacking relationships together. So as a life group, take 5 minutes together and just ask God to just place someone in your heart that you can invite. And then we're going to jump into this week's conversation. So this Sunday, I unpacked a little bit of giving and the fact that there's a reward that's attached to when you and I choose to be generous with the stuff that we're given. I'm reminded of the story of the widow's offering, where all these wealthy people came to the synagogue and they gave from their wealth. Jesus, watching this happen, this woman comes along, puts in a few pieces of coins that she had, and Jesus calls his disciples and says, look, those wealthy men gave from their wealth, but she gave of the loss that she had. And I think that the spirit in which she gave is something that I want us to look at together, and the spirit in which you and I choose to give. I think if we look at that story, that if she gave of the loss that she had, she must have completely and utterly trusted in God's provision, that her sowing into the tithe basket or the treasury, as Jesus said, she believed that she'll be taken care of enough to give of her loss. So she trusted God enough. And she was willing to take that step of faith towards seeing God's provision, that she was willing to go hungry if it meant that she goes hungry, so that she gets to a point of seeing his provision. So the spirit with which you and I choose to give is actually unbelievably crucial. We can give from our wealth and just be like, okay, yeah, take that. But that could mean absolutely nothing. But from the measure at which you are at, wherever the spectrum is, or whatever it is, or wherever you lay on that spectrum, when we give from a place of God, I trust you with what comes after this point, I think that does so much more for our spirits than just, I'm going to give because I have an exorbitant amount still left over to take care of myself. But the act of giving needs to be a point of, I'm going to give knowing that God is going to be the one to take care of me. So I want us to take a moment, and I'm just glancing down at my laptop here quickly, to look at not only this portion of the Philippians series, but to look at the Philippians series as a whole, and just reflect on which devotional day was fantastic for you, which one was not that great, or I don't know what resonated, what was the highlight, what was the low light. Just banter together as a group about the series as a whole and your devotional journey, what God has said to you, what is confirmed, what is revealed, and then we're going to jump into a question tying into this Sunday's message. So this past Sunday, I spoke about starting small. So this idea of being content in Jesus to the point of being able to give generously, there's a whole spectrum that exists between that. Now, for most of us, we obviously weigh up and see where we are on that spectrum. Whether I need to actually be completely content in who Jesus is, or I need to, instead of sowing 10%, also 2%, and then just gradually, as I teach my heart to depend completely on him, then I can take a greater step of faith towards seeing myself free from being attached to stuff or worrying about where my next meal is going to come from or how I'm going to make it to the end of the month. But I'd like for us to together to chat through what is your small step that you're going to take. Is it making more time for family, making more time for friends? Is it making your 2% decision and like having someone be part of the journey with you? Is it making Jesus your number one, your absolute, your main thing, your point of contentment, your point of gaining source and provision and life and peace and joy? What's your small step that you can begin to take as you walk yourself to a space of being free from being attached to stuff, but actually attaching yourself to Jesus? And now I'd like for us to take a moment to pray together, because I don't want this thing to just be okay, we made this line in the sand and it gets lost in the like plethora of information and decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis. But as a life group, if there's a decision that you guys can make together, or like, hey, I'm going to journey with so-and-so through their small step, whatever it is that you guys get to do together. But I want you guys to take a moment to pray into those things together. Like someone praying for somebody else for their thing, as opposed to you praying for yourself for your own thing. But just taking time to allow the Holy Spirit to be the one that guides, to be the one that deeply places that convictions in our hearts, that we get to a point of this being muscle memory, things that we just do because we're so utterly dependent on Jesus. We're going to pray together now, and I'll pop in at the end of your guys' prayer. Amazing. I hope that your time together, our time together, has been fun and fruitful, and has set deep convictions in your hearts, and has knit you guys closer together as a life group. I'm just going to close with this like final thought around this idea of community, because when we say invite someone or bring someone along on the journey, it isn't a case of just like us trying to fill seats on a Sunday, but we genuinely believe that we are better together. And when you as a life group or bring someone along, or someone is plugged into the life of the church and they're so into that and they serve and they give back, and it's not only beneficial for you in your own walk with God, but it forcefully advances God's kingdom here on earth. Like we get to see this community do greater things when we do it together. So don't hold back in inviting people to church or church events or whatever it is, but just invite people. Let's go along on the journey of seeing our city influenced and impacted by the gospel. But yeah, nonetheless, I'll catch you guys either this Sunday or in the next video.